I tell you what, it was a shock to me when they took off the boost from the 700 V3s. I don't know about you guys out there, but here we are doing an MNVN 700, and they've kept the boost on these guys, which I'm very, very grateful for. And today what we're going to be doing is looking at two of these guys, a bone and a phosphor. And those two together are very interesting because they're doing that thing they've done a couple of times with the MNVNs, which is dropping them in specific places instead of going for that sort of like general release to everyone across the globe. What they're doing is just dropping them in these specific places. And what we're going to do is have a quick look at these guys today, look at the two different colorways and that one point that's different on them, and also the two different places where these guys are going to be dropping. As today we take a close-up look at the Adidas Yeezy 700 MNVN Phosphor and Bone. This is a Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker channel, Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker channel. This Mainichi, absolutely no day, Mainichi me to get a sign. Every single day I bring you content from Tokyo, Japan about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews. And today what we're looking at is the MNVNs, the 700s. And I'm laughing because we're shooting this from home. I have been shooting from home for the last week or so because Tokyo has gone into a semi-lockdown here. And that means I'm shooting my content at home on a green screen at home. But usually my dogs are asleep, but they're kind of pottering around right now, and that could be disruptive. And my little girl's next door asleep right now as well, so with any luck she'll stay asleep and we won't get disrupted. But I've got a feeling there's going to be some background noise in today's video, but we'll just deal with that, we'll just roll with that. I think the coronavirus is disrupting people's lives in a lot more difficult ways than it's doing for me, and just having to shoot on a green screen at home with my dogs making a little bit of noise in the background, I think I'll take that over a lot of the situations out there at home right now. In fact, my poor little dog right here, I'm going to jump off screen. Here you go, Pooch. She's trying to drink water from her little sort of water thing, and you'll be able to hear her. I don't know if you can hear that, but it was stuck, so I unstuck it for her. So there you go, a live little bit of entertainment while I'm trying to shoot my videos. But it is like that at home, and that's the situation, but that's not going to stop me, and I'm not going to spend much time talking about that. I want to just get straight into this and talk about these sneakers and these MNVNs, which are dropping in a couple of days' time. And I was surprised to see that they were dropping. Now, hopefully this noise from my dog's name is Sudi. The other one's over there. I've got another dog called Molly. And I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to stop it. This is real life. This is real life what happens in the coronavirus situation. We just have to get on with it and barrel through it. But yeah, I was surprised to see these guys were going to go with a regional drop. And it just made me wonder, because there's been a few regional drops for the MNVN line. And it makes me wonder why they do that. I always get a little bit suspicious when they do regional drops when it's got nothing to do with the shoes. A lot of Nike shoes, for example, Nike Air Max 90s, or there was a really nice pair of Air Max 1s, Amsterdam and London's, which were themed in the cities they were dropping in, if you know what I mean. And that makes sense, you know. But when they do a shoe like this in a regional drop, it makes me kind of wonder whether or not it's to do with lack of sales, lack of hype, lack of push, you know, lack of interest in the shoe, rather than specifically to do with the shoe being like a reflection of the city or something to do with the city itself. So it always makes me a little bit suspicious. It always makes me think, you know, think twice, double think about whether or not really this is a shoe that needs to be dropping in these locations. Now, what I'm going to try and do is remember where these two shoes are dropping, because you've got the Phosphor. Now, I think the Phosphor is dropping in New York, Tokyo and London. I'm pretty sure it's New York, Tokyo and London, which is kind of interesting because one's in America, one's in Europe and one's in East Asia. And then you've got the Bones, which I think I'm right in dropping in LA, Paris and Shanghai. So again, you've got America, Europe and East Asia. Now the two American ones, LA and New York, they're both dropping in one country, in the US. Whereas if you think of the London and the Parises, that's the UK and France. Think of Shanghai and Tokyo, that's China and Japan. So in a way, they've balanced it out by saying we've got America for two shoes, Europe for two shoes and East Asia for two shoes. But in another way, it's a sort of a little bit of a land grab, shall we say, because America's got two of the shoes, whereas all the other countries just have one. But then again, the sneaker business in America is probably more than double anywhere else in the world. So with that in mind, it does make sense, if you know what I'm saying. But I'm not entirely sure, like I say, what made them decide that the Bones would go this way and the Phosphorus would go that way. I don't know what it is that they're saying, you know, this shoe, this specific shoe has to go in East Asia, whereas this one, well, they're both coming in East Asia, but one's in China and one's in Japan, for example. And it'll be interesting to see if there's crossover with those sales later on, if the resale market kicks in, that people want to actually get a hold of these guys, and then you get that kind of crossover between where they actually dropped and where they resell and that kind of stuff. So, but there's a couple of features on them that I really want to have a look at, and then the main thing is to look at that lightweight upper, and it's because of that lightweight upper that the price point on these is about a third, 30%, maybe 35% cheaper than your standard Yeezy. A standard Yeezy would cost you close up to $300, whereas these guys are much lower down towards $200, and it's because of that upper, and that lightweight upper with very few panels on it, made of that mesh material, and there's not really much construction that goes into it, which is why they can keep the price point down, because the original materials themselves don't cost that much. And then if we look at the two uppers, that's where the colors come in between the bone and the phosphorus, and somehow behind me here, hopefully on this at-home green screen, you'll be able to see a jump between those two uppers and see the phosphorus and the bone, and it literally is the only difference between the two shoes, and that's important when you get into the midsole and the outsole. I did say at the top of this video that I was happy that the MNVN line is keeping the boost in there, because the 700 V3s have dropped the boost from their midsoles, which is kind of a surprise to a lot of people, because boost has been one of the iconic features on a sneaker in the last 2 or 3 years, maybe even 4 years, and then dropping that off the 700 V3s was a surprise. Keeping it on the MNVNs is a good thing. But I said that the uppers were different in that bone and phosphorus colorways. In the midsole, if we look at the midsole and do that flipping thing again behind me here, and you can see the two midsoles, hopefully the upper where the phosphorus and the bone is tells you that it's a different shoe that we're looking at, because the midsoles are absolutely identical. And part of the important part of that is, yes, it has the boost on the inside, but also it's a blacked out boost, which is difficult to see on a 700, you know, from the side. But because of the blacked out nature of it, where they haven't gone with any color along the midfoot or the midsole, you can see that it's a completely solid black, dark colored midsole, and within that you've got that boost in there as well, which gives you that super comfortable ride. So all in all, you know, it's a typical, if you like, MNVN sneaker. I did look at these guys when they first started coming out. It must have been late 2019, and I think it was the orange pair that I looked at. Maybe I can put it up behind me here, the very first time they come around, but this is only the second time I've looked at these in like 5 months since they have been dropping, and I missed the triple black ones that dropped I think in February, which were also regional specific. I think they ended up being regional specific. They were planned to be, but I don't know if they actually dropped that way. But then here we are, this is me doing it for the second time, looking at these shoes. I'm not a huge fan of 700s, I never really have been. In fact, the only 700s that I really have liked have been the V3s, even though they don't have the boost on them. But because they don't have the boost on them, I don't want to buy them, because they're not going to be as comfortable. So the 700 line and even the 500 line is not something that I've really, you know, been a huge fan of. And these guys right here with that lightweight upper, you know, I don't know, it's cheap at $220, but still $220 is a lot of money to pay for a pair of sneakers. So it's kind of like, you know what, if I could pick up a pair of Air Jordan 1s for 190, 170 bucks, why would I spend 220 bucks on a lightweight Yeezy? You know, so that's the way I look at it. But that's my look at these guys, these regional specific, the phosphorus and the bones, and dropping, like I said, in, what did I say now? I said New York, London, Tokyo, and Los Angeles, Paris, Shanghai, I think, were the two places where these guys are going to be dropping. So if it's your thing, go out and grab yourself a pair. If they're going to be a rare release, then, you know, that's going to be a cool thing, you know, because they're regional specific. It might get things going on the resale market, and maybe, you know, jumpstart some hype in the MNVN line. For now, though, it's time for me to sign off. My dog didn't disrupt us too much. She had her drink and then just sat down. She's pretty much asleep down there, and my little girl didn't come through. One day she's going to come through and rip my camera up and pull down my green screen and stuff like that, but it hasn't happened yet, so fingers crossed that won't happen anytime soon. But for now, it's time for me to sign off and do what I do at the end of every single one of my videos, which is thank you guys for watching my content, but remind you that I do this every single day, even from home in a lockdown. I'm still doing this every single day, so that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.